Hi, I'm Paul Battaglia, math teacher here at Manasquan High School. In case you didn't get a chance to come to back to school night, I wanted to give you a brief overview of how we're going to be doing things this year in Precalculus. First off, if you ever need to contact me, you can reach me by phone 732-528-8820, extension 1669. Also, if you'd like to try email, pbattaglia@manasquanboe.org. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about what your child encounters when he or she comes into class every day. First off, we always start off with a warm-up. The warm-up is 2 questions long. Students will do it on about a half sheet of paper, and then it'll take about 5 minutes, and then they'll hand it in. That warm-up is graded, and that counts towards their overall grade. After the warm-up's over, we do go over it, and then we take care of homework. Any homework questions that the students have, I'd be more than happy to answer, and we spend a good maybe 10 or 15 minutes talking about whatever we have to go over. Now, that being said, I don't usually check the homework a lot. This is pre-calculus. It's a little bit more of an advanced class, so the responsibility is a little bit more on the student here. And if they don't do the homework, they're going to find out soon enough once we get to tests and quizzes and larger assessments that's really difficult to keep up if they haven't been practicing some of the things we've been talking about. So we do go over the homework. I do take questions on it, but I might not check it as much. Homework only accounts for 50 points of their entire grade. After we do that, we get into the core of the lesson. Maybe we'll do a discovery activity or we'll do some exploration, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what I really want to cover with them that day. But I'm always encouraging them to ask me questions and tell me if there's things they'd like to go into more depth about, or if they're not quite sure about how things connect to other things, and that way I can give them the best experience possible. The most important part of the class, though, is at the end, when we try and attain closure and really understand where they are before they leave the class. So I could do that in a number of ways. The most popular way that I like to use is through what we call an exit card. So I might ask them a thought-provoking question at the end of class and have them write down their response on that index card, hand it in. It's not graded, but I just use it merely to get ready for the next day and see where we are. Do we have to back up a little bit? Can we go forward? Or are we going at the right pace? So that gives you just a brief overview into how the day works. Now let's talk a little bit more about general policies and procedures. In terms of grading, I already mentioned that homework makes up 50 points. In addition to that, they'll have some tests, they'll have quizzes. Quizzes are way more frequent than tests. I like to break the material down into smaller groups. Once we get rolling and into a little bit more of a groove, we'll probably have a quiz maybe every Friday or so. I'd rather not give the students homework on Friday. I like to kind of cap off what we did for the week and really get us ready for the following week with a quiz. So that takes care of quizzes and tests. In addition to that, we may have an occasional project. We do complete a lot of group collaboration activities. I rotate the groups every 2 or 3 weeks, so students can get a feel for other people and how other people work and how other people look at some things. And occasionally those assessments are graded as well. Now, there's one last thing that I use to give students points, and that is notes responsibility. Anything we do in the class, they really should be taking notes on. And every day, a different student is responsible for taking notes for the entire class. That student will give me the notes, I'll scan them in, put them on my webpage, so that if the student is ever absent, they can always go online, check what we were doing that day, and they have the notes instantly. They don't even have to ask anybody for them. Of course, they could still do that, but the option is there. Now, I think what really needs to be addressed is what kinds of things are in place for the kids to do as well as possible. And the first thing that they have to understand is that my webpage is really the central place where they need to be for information. Anything we do in class, notes, announcements, handouts, answer keys to those handouts will all be there. Every week I give them a schedule online of what we're going to be doing that week, and it lists all the homework by day, the page numbers, the handouts, announcements of when we might be having a quiz or a test. So all that stuff is available usually Sunday night, get them ready for the week. Now, if we come across a topic that I think is exceedingly difficult or I know is going to give some students some problems, what I may do is I might create what we call a podcast. A podcast is similar to what you're looking at now, just an audio version. So for instance, let's say that I know the students are not really comfortable using the graphing calculator and they need a little bit more help with that. Well, I might put together a 4 or 5 minute audio clip talking about directions of how to use the calculator, walking in through some examples, maybe even having a picture or a video that they can reference. All this will be put on my website, and they could download it onto their phone, onto their iPod, onto their iPad, and there's a lot of different avenues for them to access it. So that's a nice little neat touch that I think is available. Additionally, there's a newer technology out called QR codes, quick response codes. You may have seen them in a magazine. They're little black and white square boxes. And what happens is if you have a tag reader or a barcode reader on your phone, you can actually take a picture of that little code and it will link you somewhere. So here's how I would use it. I might give the students a handout for homework. And I know that maybe once they get down to the last 2 or 3 problems, there might be an issue, maybe things that are a little difficult. Well, I can have a little code next to those problems. They could take their phone, scan that code, and that code could link them up to a video, maybe of me doing a quick little demo lesson just to recap how to handle those types of problems. Or maybe I'll link them to a website that I think is very helpful for the topic we're studying, and they can kind of explore that website and see what kinds of things they have to offer there. So those are all things that we're trying to do to make sure that the student today, who is much more technologically inclined, really has access to what they need so that they can succeed. Also, I've really started to get into using Twitter, and I've told the students that, and if they choose, they can follow me on Twitter, and I'll post updates there. Maybe I'll say, you know, final exam review is now up, or we can even have some fun, and I could say, hey, you know, there's going to be a snow day tomorrow, so don't bother coming to school. So if they'd like to contact me that way, they can certainly do that, and then I can get back to them right away. They also can email me if they have any questions. Let's talk a little bit about extra help. If a student needs extra help, I'm here before school, I'm here after school. Usually I get here about 7 in the morning. So if they take a bus and they get in here early enough, or if they drive or they walk, they can get here a little earlier. I'm here ready, waiting for them. Same room 209 that we have class. Also, I have 3rd and 4th block free, so some of those students have study hall. If they'd like to use their study hall to come up and try and get some help, I'm certainly more than willing to do that as well. If you have any questions, or if anything here wasn't covered, really I encourage you to just give me a call. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. I hope this video was helpful, especially if you couldn't make it. That way we didn't take up too much of your time. Again, my name is Paul Battaglia. You can reach me at 732-528-8820, extension 1669, or via email, pbattaglia@manasquanboe.org. Thank you. I look forward to having a great year. Anything I can do to help, just let me know. Have a good day.